Hey, this is Nick back with a follow-up video to our project-based cash flow model. If you haven't checked out part one, I encourage you to do so that you can pick up where we left off. Hopefully you're building this spreadsheet with me as we go. And again, checking out that first part one is going to really help you to pick up. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take this to the next level. I'm going to make some adjustments to our cash flow forecasting template. We're going to build in cost of goods sold, other expenses as well. So let's get started. On the left side of my screen here, I have pretty much where we left off the last time we met. And what I'm going to do is on the right side of my screen, I have some improvements that I'd like to make. Okay, so I went through and kind of thought about the model a little bit more and thought about making it more dynamic. So I want to take you on the journey of a little bit of an improvement that I want to make to this, and then we're going to build in the cost of goods sold. So a few things I want to do is I want to make this interval specific to the project, okay? I think that's going to be really helpful when we build this out for the other expense types. So I want to do that. I also want to build in a little bit better, stronger logic with our first and next invoices, etc. So that's what I'm going to start to do here. This is going to kind of be my target. So you're going to see me referencing that a bit. I'm going to add some rows here to just give myself a little bit more of a dynamic functionality. So I've got my percent complete, which I haven't done anything with yet. I got my weeks remaining, and I'm going to build in an interval here. Okay, so I'm going to make this a little bit more generic. So this is just going to be weeks remaining. Okay, this is going to be interval. Okay, and I'm going to bring this number 2 and I'm going to bring it right up here. Basically, I'm going to have the interval land right here for each of these projects. It's going to default to referencing this number, but the user, you, could change that. Okay, so, and that's going to be, I think, really helpful when we build in expenses as well. So I'm going to bring that over. Now, for all these, it's going to be 2. All right, and that's fine. I can get rid of that. Now, I'm going to make this highlighted in yellow. This is something I like to do sometimes, is make the items that are going to be like inputs in yellow and then kind of change that for anything else. Okay, so this is something that I would want to put in. Okay. All right, now this is starting to grab this a little bit. Oh yeah, because it's doing it all over the place. Okay, so I've got that interval, which is in row 9 right now. Invoices, I'm just going to make this number remaining because this is going to pertain to my expenses as well. So number remaining, then I'm going to add a couple more columns or a couple more rows here as well. I'm going to clear the formatting on these. Okay, and what I want to do here is really clearly indicate my first/next one of these. So in this case, it's going to be an invoice. In the future example, it's going to be cost of goods sold. And then my last, I'm going to add some logic here to tell the system how it's going to work, right? So I have my interval. Number remaining is, I'm going to bring in this formula here. We're going to be rounding. Okay. I've got 6 weeks remaining. There's my my intervals every 2. That means I have this many remaining. That can't be right. G8, G9. And that's probably because this is rounded. Yeah, I don't want this to be rounded anymore. I was trying to build in that is odd thing, and I don't want to do that anymore. Yep, there's 5 weeks remaining in this project. All right, and I have I'm thrown off because my number of columns here. So let's fix that. Let's just add a couple columns. So I'm going to do here income, cost of goods sold. I'm going to do expenses, and then I'm going to do other. So let's build that out. And now that I have that, my weeks remaining. All right, and then my number remaining should be close. Just going to copy that in. So what are we doing with these formulas here? I'm taking out the whole rounded in every 2 weeks aspect of this, okay? Basically, I'm saying that this interval here, okay, is more dynamic now. So I don't need to say is odd or anything like that. I'm just going to say we have this many weeks remaining. This is my interval. That means I have this many of these things remaining. In this case, it's invoices. It's going to be cost of goods sold as we move on. Then I'm going to build some formulas to pretty much say when's the first/next one of these that I'm going to incur. So my formula over here is pretty much saying that if my date is in the future, meaning like my actual start date's in the future, then the first one's going to be on that date. If not, it's going to be pretty much, current date plus my interval. All right, so I'm going to bring that formula in as well. So first/next is there, and then my last. So this helps my system kind of tell whether or not on the timeline it should get an invoice or not. So this is giving me just a little bit of logic to say when's the first one that's going to happen. That helps me tell this system, like, if this date is less than this date, don't do one, right? Okay, and then the last date. So this should be the last date of my invoice. All right, so those populate, and then we got a little bit of an update to our formula here. I'm going to copy this and bring this in as well. Okay, so let me tell you what's going on with this formula. Basically, what I'm going to do is I'm saying with this formula, if B15 right here equals G11 right here, then absolutely give me the total, which is at 1763, the row 14 divided by 10, how many we have remaining. Give me one of those. If not, go into the following logic, which we're pretty much going to ask the question, is this week in between these ones, and is the rounded number a whole number? Basically, is it part of my interval? That's what I'm doing with this mod right here. This tells me if A15, okay, so the week number divided by my interval is a whole number or not. Does it fit? Is it a multiple of that, right? And so we bring that over, and let's see if we copy this down, if it's going to give me what I want. And there we go. We're good, right? So we have everything kind of flowing through. 1763 is now split up every couple weeks. If I move this to 1, you can see that now this is dynamic. I can say I'm going to invoice every 1 week or every 3 weeks or every 4 weeks. Now I can take exactly what I just built and copy it over, and I can apply the same thing to cost of goods sold. All right, so that's going to be so helpful that I kind of built it out that way. All right, I'm going to take this here and see if I can just copy over some formatting. So now all I need to do, I've kind of got my invoice model. I want to make sure that this formula is equals sum, which it looks like it is already. Good. I'm going to say this is all the income I'm going to generate for each of these weeks. Now I'm going to do the exact same thing. I'm going to build it out for cost of goods sold over here. Okay. So I kind of don't need this one anymore. I'm just going to bring it over. The first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to copy this entire thing. Okay, and actually we could copy this entire thing over. Okay, and I'm going to copy this over as well. But we're going to change this model to be cost of goods sold. So we're going to do that in a few different ways. One is on colors, like I want to be able to clearly identify what's going on. Instead of client balance, what am I going to look for here? Looking at the job list, I'm going to do costs outstanding. That's what I'm going to pull. So I'm going to copy that. And instead of client balance, I'm going to do cost outstanding. Okay, so notice I do cost outstanding, and now it's picking up from my job list, which came from Builder Trend, how much I have costs outstanding. My start dates and end dates should not be changing, but these ones did somehow. Oh, because I did, because I did a first and last change there. Okay, cool. So that's nice. Now I'm going to bring this in here. I think we should have a separate one. I'm going to bring one more column over. All right, and just going to bring my labels. All right, so all these right here I'm going to bring over. And my interval, now I can make it different for costs. It doesn't have to be the same as invoices. Okay, so I'm going to make this interval equals this number here. Okay. And for cost of goods sold, I like to do every week. That's just like more frequent expenses. I like to be kind of conservative in that way, that all the expenses I have to pay, I'm going to divide by the number of weeks left. I'm going to pay that number in each of them. Okay. Let me just kind of test this. Yeah, it's looking good. Okay. So now I have, this is my cost of goods sold. I'm going to change the coloring of this just so when I visualize it, I can tell it's something different. I'm going to make it kind of this light red thing. Okay, and my conditional formatting I'm going to update as well. I'm going to make sure that this applies only to S. Okay. And then I can do a new one here where I can grab this whole thing and say, I want this to go on to a conditional formatting where it's going to be a color scale. The more expensive it is, the higher the number, it's going to be more red. Okay, so that's looking good. And I'm just going to put in here income, COGS, cost of goods sold. Okay, I'm going to make this, actually I could have copied this, just to kind of help me visualize it a little bit better. COGS, I'm going to do the same thing. Okay. COGS, I'm going to say equals sum. I'm going to go and grab all of these rows. And I should have clicked to bring it down, but let me just do this. All right, so we got all my COGS are going in there. Now I just need to do expenses and other. All right, and I'm going to build that with you. Okay, so you can see this kind of taking shape that I have on one sheet. I've got a really nice way to have the dates of my project, in this case, dictate my incoming cash flow and my outgoing cash flow per project. Okay, that's useful. But then the last part of this whole cash flow, this is going to give me my gross profit, income minus cost of goods sold. Then I want to get my net profit and net cash flow. So that's what I'm going to do in the next two steps here. So I'm going to take all of this, I'm going to insert 15 rows to the right. Now I don't need 15 rows really, for expenses and other. Okay, this is going to now be expenses. Expenses, it's like how many different expense categories do you need? Now you could build in one expense category for all of your chart of accounts, but that's way too many. For me, it's going to be like, well, what types of intervals am I planning against, right? So these are my general expenses, and I probably think of these like, I'm going to look at my budget, I'm going to look at like per month, what those are, okay? And it's not going to be projects anymore. It's literally just going to be expenses. I'm not going to really be looking them up on a job sheet. I'm just going to be providing them. And I don't need all these. I'm going to actually delete these. I don't need them, okay? And here I can just put in, not project, it's more like category. And this is going to be like payroll. Okay, so what is my payroll? What's my start and end date? Well, my start date is today or this month. And my end date is like, well, why don't we take this and do it times or plus 52 times 7, right? Shoot me out a year, right? And I can do that same thing with all of these. Pretty much I'm going to say, I'm going to give you annual expenses, and this system's going to give me how much I'm going to spend per 1 week. Okay? And all we can put in here, so here's payroll. My annual payroll expenses, $300,000, right? Okay? Oops, I did 3 million. 300,000 right there, okay? Now this one, here's what's cool about this. My interval for payroll is maybe every 2 weeks. And maybe my start date, maybe I know that my next payroll is April 19th, so I can just put that in here as well. Okay, April 19th, and then let's put, April 26th. There we go. All right, so that's my one expense category, and I could just put other expenses. And that's like everything other than my payrolls, maybe 200,000. All right, and that's going to be every week. There we go. All right, so there's my payroll. There's my other expenses happening every single week. And now I can take this and go, this we're going to sum these totals. All right, I can clear up my conditional formatting as well. So this conditional formatting, I only wanted to go to AH. All right, and then I can do a new one for my expenses. You don't need to do the conditional formatting part, but it's kind of useful. I'll leave that one for now. And now let's do other cash flow. Okay, so let's add a few more. Where I'm going to copy this whole thing in, and this is just going to be other. Okay, so I can have credit card, I can have AP, I can have AR, accounts receivable, money coming in. I'm going to leave that one out for now. We can do like vendor credit and then debt. Just any of those, right? My actual start, I'm going to equal my start date of data. Completion is going to be 52 weeks out. This is up to you. I mean, these might be... actually, for these, I could say like, hey, I'm going to pay this on a specific date. So this could be, actual completion could be this plus 7. Like I'm going to pay it the week later or something like that, right? Let's actually do that. Okay. And then I can say my expense here is like I got a $40,000 balance. on my credit card, that's going to now come out of my cash flow. My accounts payable, I've got a $35,000 balance, and maybe I'm going to pay that one like 21 days from now. Okay, and my interval here is going to be 4. So I would just put in May 3rd. And then that brings my cash flow down. So we're able to kind of add some stuff here and just tell it when it's going to pay. And that would help this other cash flow take shape. The other cash flow, in my experience, is going to be like one-offs typically. Or you might have like an owner contribution. We can actually do that. Let's go owner contribution. That we're going to start it on like June 28th. And it's going to last. We're going to go till the next year, and we're going to do it every 13 weeks. And it's 35,000, something like that. Then it'll start to plot in. All right. I got something going on here. I'll figure that out. But that's generally what I want to build. And then I'm going to just adjust the coloring here again for my visual. This is just building. We're taking a lot of time to build a really good template that like works really well. And all I need to do is add some variables, and the whole system will update itself. That's the idea. So one other little thing you can do is you can grab some of these and group them. That's going to help with your usability. So I'm going to go View, Group these columns. That gives me this little plus minus that I can open and close them to quickly navigate. So I'm going to do the same thing with my cost of goods sold and with my expenses and with my other. Okay, and then I can take all of these little guys and do exactly that. And so this is my summary level that doesn't change if they're open or closed. And then if I want to see the detail, I open up my income. I can see that. If I want to see the expenses, I can open that up. All right. So we built out a nice little template here. I'm going to do some tweaking with this, make sure I might have a formula or two to fix. But the next and best part about this whole thing that we're about to do, on the next video, I'm going to show you how we graph this. And we just have some really awesome data that with just a few little clicks here and there, a few little what if analysis, we can see how it impacts our cash flow. The reason I love Google Sheets for this is I can use multiple screens, update on one, and see the result in the other. I'm going to show you that on the next video. I want to know your comments, your thoughts. Probably saw a couple of mistakes. I'm kind of going fast. I'm going to fix those as we start the next video. Make sure you get the best out of this. But I want you to build this with me, and of course you can download this this tool as well in its finished form as we draw to a conclusion. Let me know your thoughts on this, and I'll see you on the next video.